Good morning, everybody.
Good
So we
morning.
do my favorite meditation, purify our speech. Okay, everybody, happy to see you. So just thinking we're here just for these 30 little minutes that goes so quickly, like a flash of lightning. But we're going to use it to bless our speech. I always say it, but it's true. It's such an astonishing idea. Who would think you could bless your speech? Who could think you'd meditate on purifying your speech? It's such an odd idea, but it makes so much sense when we look at the Buddhist approach. First we have body and speech, and they are the servants of the mind. The mind is the point. Surely the mind is the point. That's Buddha's deal. But look at the servants, look at the body and speech, and they're uncontrolled. And we don't think about it like that. We think, oh, I've got to meditate, I must meditate. But if you can't control the servants of your mind, how can you possibly control the mind? It's so obvious, isn't it? And it's a revelation when you think of it like this. And when we look at the way we have troubles in our lives, I mean, like I always say, we mightn't go around raping and killing too many people. But look at our speech, Look at our speech. We just don't think it matters. We wonder why we have problems, So there's two things. One is the harm we do to others, but the real one, the first one, is to really see the harm we do to ourselves. We feel guilty, we feel stressed, and why does the speech is uncontrolled? Because we haven't made a decision to control it. But of course, underneath that is because we don't even notice the mind. We don't even notice what's going on until it all blurts out the mouth, So it's a marvelous practice. I love it. So what we're doing is, if you're familiar with it, we're going to reciting these the Sanskrit syllables. Now that sounds a bit weird, reciting the Sanskrit alphabet. It sounds hilarious. But sound, the way they talk about it in the Vajrayana, the way we are constructed is we have this, and this is the Tibetan medical system. It's similar to the Chinese, the Ayurvedic one. We've got this subtle nervous system, right? And throughout all these channels in the body, all this subtle wind energy or prana is going around, and it's connected. These winds are connected to all our different states of mind. And the point is here, though, that the wind energy, it is sound, because that is what sound is. And the purest sound, the way they all talk, the purest sound is the sound of Sanskrit. I mean, you don't have to believe that, but this is the idea. This is the view. So reciting these Sanskrit sounds, all of which are constituted and turned into words that have meaning, it purifies the mind. It's very fascinating. So our meditation is that, and a little bit more as well, because we're meditating. We also, as we know, if you've done it, we're purifying not just the speech, but also the body and the mind, which is so nice. Okay. So I'll lead most of the meditation, and you just open your eyes to say the syllables. So we visualize Buddha above our head, or if you've taken an empowerment, you can visualize yourself as the Buddha. You manifest as the Buddha. Otherwise, Buddha is above your crown. Think like that. Just sitting there on his lotus, above your crown, facing the same way as you. Just feel the presence of enlightened energy. And then there's this little refuge prayer, if you'd like to say that, just thinking, I take refuge in the three rare sublime ones. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings, transmigratory beings. I take refuge in the three rare sublime ones. May I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge in the three jewels, the three rare sublime ones. May I become a Buddha to benefit all suffering sentient beings. So now you visualize on your tongue the syllable R. Of course, we don't know the Sanskrit or the Tibetan, so just look at the Roman letters, AH, standing upright on your tongue. And then it turns into a moon disk. It's like a flat white cushion on your tongue. And then on top of that, on the moon disk, there is a white Om standing upright. Om. Just imagine, do your best. And then you imagine now it's surrounded, first of all, clockwise, all the white vowels, clockwise, circling the white Om. And they're white. Just imagine all these letters standing upright. And then counterclockwise, the red consonants, just imagine. And then circling clockwise, all of those, the white home in the middle, the white vowels, the red consonants, and now the blue syllables of the, as Lama Rinpoche calls it, the dependent relation mantra, or the mantra of dependent arising. Rinpoche calls it different things. Circling clockwise, blue, like sort of darkish blue. Imagine all this on your tongue. So now you imagine what we're going to do is we're going to kind of hook the energy of all the blessed speech, or as they call it, the power of speech. Because if you think about it, Buddha's main gift to sentient beings is not his body. He might be a very handsome guy. Look at him all day, every day. But what good is that? He's got to open his mouth and give us advice. So they talk about the power of speech. So we're going to imagine now the light going out from all these syllables, each color, the white, the red, the blue, to all the 10 directions of the universe, and hooking the energy of the blessed speech, the power of speech of all the holy beings, all the Buddhas, all the Bodhisattvas, all the great yogis, all the yoginis, all the meditators, and even all this, the good people doing their best to be nice people on the planet. Hooking this energy, powerful, blissful energy. And it's gained, all the holy beings, this power of speech is gained, one, by doing such practices like this, saying mantra, two, by being silent, three, by consciously refraining from negative speech. That's a very powerful practice, consciously refraining from negative speech. These are the practices to make your speech beneficial and useful and powerful. So we hook all this energy with all that light, and all these lights come back with this energy and absorb back into the syllables on our tongue, making them radiant and delicious, full of this power, the power of speech. You're so pleased. And think about it. We mightn't go around teaching Dharma to people. We mightn't go around teaching anybody anything, but we need our speech just to function in daily life. First, we need people to believe us. I mean, it's so distressing if no one believes what you say. It's like you don't exist, or they don't pay attention to your words, or you annoy them. This is awful. We don't like this. We know we don't like this. And just to function, to go to the shops, to go at work, at home with people, we need speech, and it needs to be effective. It's really quite a powerful thing to think about and to be conscious about. Not to mention being a benefit to others, helping their emotions, helping people who are suffering. So we think all these syllables are full of this power now. So now imagine white nectar pours down, like liquid, delicious, blessed white nectar pours down from the vowels, and it up as well. It fills the entire body. And what this does actually is, we imagine now, it purifies our bodies. So first of all, think it purifies all your sickness and the heaviness of the body and the difficulties. Everybody has problems with their body in one way or another. It's like lugging around a ton weight, isn't it, sometimes? And problems and stiff and difficult and arthritic and this and that, all the sicknesses we have. So imagine this white nectar filling us completely and utterly purifying all the sickness and all the misery and the heaviness of the bodies. Imagine it filling every part of us, down to our feet and our limbs, our knees, our thighs, up inside us, completely purifying our bodies. What a relief. But then the main one, of course, is to imagine also purifying. This white nectar purifies all the karmic imprints left in our mind from the habit in the past, and not just this life, in the past, the habit of harming others with our bodies. Well, I mean, that includes killing sentient beings. It includes stealing from sentient beings. It includes just physically harming them. It includes, sexual misconduct because of intense attachment, cheating on your partner, cheating on others' partners, using the body to harm sentient beings. And think if we've all got countless lives, as the Buddha would say, and all these imprints stay in the mind, they don't go astray. We imagine all of these imprints just annihilated, purified, cleaned up by this delicious white nectar filling us. As we recite those syllables, the Sanskrit vowels right there. Om, really visualize as we're saying it. Om, e, ri, li, e, o, ang, swaha. Om, e, ri, li, e, o, ang, swaha. Om, e, ri, li, e, o, ang, swaha. Full of this red nectar, white nectar, totally purified body, all the negative karma disappeared, gone like a puff of smoke, gone. There's no karma we can't purify because everything's impermanent. There's nothing we can't change. Be so delighted about this. And not only that, we'll add something else here too. Now imagine that your body, whoever sees you, hears you, talks to you, touches you, can only be benefited by your body. Just by your presence, you can benefit others. Can you imagine that? And not harm them. All the sentient beings we meet, creatures, the flies, the bees, the ants, the mice, the rats, they benefit from your presence. How marvelous. Imagine that. Not harming sentient beings with our bodies. So now the red nectar pours down from the consonants from our tongue and fills us completely. And this time it purifies the speech. So, we mightn't actually use harsh language. We might, but we might not say bad things behind backs, but maybe we're really unclear about our speech and we blurt things out and we're not sure if we're right and we're not confident and we say the wrong things at the wrong time. I mean, a lot of us have that, So imagine purifying all of that. Imagine purifying all your house, the imprints of all your house speech, all the bad mouthing people behind their backs, which we love to do because you feel safe doing it, including all the politicians, the next door neighbors, your grandma. That's one of our favorite activities, bad mouthing behind backs. And all the just chatting on about nothing because we get nervous. We've just got to say something, rabbiting on about nothing. And all the speech that's actually not true. But the consciously not true speech, which is called lying, but also I always mention this, is all the speculating. We don't intend to lie, but we kind of blurt out whatever we think is true, but with no certainty that we're speaking the truth. And that even always comes, there's something, like I always say, something as simple as saying, what time does that shop close, Robina? 3 o'clock. Are you sure? Yes. And it closed at 2 o'clock. Oh, I thought it was 3 o'clock. We don't know that we don't even know that we don't know the truth. This is a very powerful point. So all of this, imagine purified by this delicious red nectar filling us. As we say the syllables. Om ka 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 ganga cha 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 janya ta 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 dana ta 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 dana pa pa ba ba ma yaralawa sha sha sa haksta swaha. Om ka 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 ganga cha 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 janya ta 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 dana ta ta da dana pa pa ba ba ma yaralava sha sha sa haksa swaha. Om ka 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 ganga cha 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 janya ta 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 dana ta 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 dana pa pa ba ba ma yaralava sha sha sa haksa swaha. Full of this delicious red nectar, all of our nonsense speech totally purified and made powerful. Now, whoever hears us, whatever sound we say, even just good morning, even our laugh, it will benefit whoever hears it. Can you imagine? Just one kind word will be of benefit to sentient beings. We want this. We want this. Imagine this. Be so happy. Full of this red nectar. And of course, the power of speech. The power of speech to help others. So now the mind, the source of all of it, the source of all the goodness and all the rubbish. So now from the syllables on the tongue, blue nectar pours down and up and fills us completely. And this time purifies the mind. And what part of the mind does it purify? That's the delusions. As we know, Buddha's view of the mind, his model of the mind, is deceptively simple. The neurotic, delusional, afflicted, unhappy, disturbing, distressing states of mind that are rooted in the root misconception of an intrinsic me, all these misconceptions that lead us up garden paths that cause us so much pain and then cause us to harm others. Ego grasping, attachment, anger, and all the other dramas. Everybody's got them to one degree or another. To the extent to which we have these is the extent to which we suffer, and is the extent to which we harm others with our body and speech. It's a very simple analysis, really, and we can see it's a very clear way to put it. So all of these purified, because the Buddha has found, this is what's amazing about the Buddha. This is the one essential point of the Buddha's practice, that he has found from his own direct experience, internal direct experience, that these states of mind, being misconceptions, having no basis in reality, are literally, as I said, misconceptions, so therefore can be fixed, can be removed. Because when you argue with the misconception, with the right conception, the misconception disappears. It's gone, disappeared into a puff of smoke. So this is the process of developing wisdom and arguing with these misconceptions until eventually our minds are in sync with reality. Because these states of mind are not in sync with reality. This is Buddha's key point. They're disturbing and painful. That part we know well. We're very familiar with that. But to understand that they're rooted in being misconceptions, they're conceptual stories and they are misconceptions. This is a really powerful concept. It's not how we think, but if we understand this, it's a revelation and it explains to us, it shows, it indicates how we can get rid of them. It's not mystical. This is Buddha's point. Amazing. And they're the cause of suffering. That's why he says we're going to achieve this cessation of suffering. So imagine all these delusions disappeared like a puff of smoke, annihilated by this blissful blue nectar filling us. And then before we even do the syllables, think, if they're annihilated from the mind, what's left? Well, guess what? The virtues. They are at the core of our being. Wisdom, clarity, kindness, generosity, forgiveness, patience. We know these states of mind. They are valid concepts. And of course, the wisdom that finally can see the ultimate way that things exist. You know, these are the nature of our mind. They can't be removed from the mind. But now the delusions have gone, they are fully developed. So imagine all of this as we recite the syllables filling us with this blue nectar so happily. Om ye dhamma hetu pabhawa hetun teshan tatagato yevedat teshan chayo niroda evam vadi mahashamana ye svaha. Om ye dhamma hetu pabhawa hetun teshan tatagato yevada teshan chayo niroda evam vadi mahashamana ye svaha. Om ye dhamma hetu pabhawa hetun teshan tatagato yevada teshan chayo niroda evam vadi mahashamana ye svaha. Full of this blue nectar, full of virtue, full of goodness, full of wisdom, your own true nature, your own, not coming from the outside. By lessening your delusions, you enhance the virtues just naturally. This is how it is, you know. So full of the virtues, full of goodness, and the bonus, full of joy and bliss. And this is what Buddha's found. Happiness, happy feelings, joy, whatever you want to call it, that's our natural state once the delusions have gone. It's very simple. That's what happiness is. It's the mind. Imagine full of this. So joyful, our true nature. This blissful blue nectar. So now we imagine that these blue syllables on our tongue dissolve into the red consonants. And the red consonants dissolve into the white vowels. And the white vowels dissolve into the moon disk. Into the Om, standing on the moon disk. And then the moon disk dissolves into the Om dissolves into the moon disk. And now the moon disk turns into an R. And now finally the R turns into pink colored nectar. It's so delicious. I can't get over this meditation. I love it to death. This pink colored nectar and dissolves into your tongue. And it becomes of Vajra nature. Remember, Shay says your tongue becomes very heavy and strong, as if difficult to move, and indestructible as a Vajra. Nothing can harm or take away the power of mantra. They talk about black foods. That means, there's a term they use in Indian, like the heavy food. It doesn't matter. But, it can't take away the power of your speech, basically. And your speech is powerful. So then have strong faith and confidence that all the power and all the blessings of all the speech of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and sages and yogis have entered your speech, and that your speech is perfected. Think, I have perfected my speech. The minute the sentient beings hear your speech, it pacifies their emotional and disturbing thoughts. And of course, whatever you say gets actualized. Imagine this. Things actually work, This is so powerful. This is so marvelous. So one, we gain the power of speech. One, by literally consciously being silent. Two, consciously refraining from lying, speculating, harsh speech, bad-mouthing behind backs, and rabbiting on about nothing. A conscious decision that just itself is so powerful for oneself and, of course, for others. And finally, by saying mantra, these blessed syllables, saying mantra, said to be. This is the way to make your speech powerful and make you more happy and therefore benefit others. So logical. Be so delighted. So now, we've got a few minutes left. Now imagine Buddha dissolves through your crown, and you just you imagine the body, speech, and mind of the Buddha and your body, speech, and mind merge. And you just imagine expanding to fill the universe. Radiant, clear, blissful, no thoughts. Just for a few minutes, just relax. Vast, clear, big, spacious, joyful. No thoughts. And now, this little dedication prayer, so sweet. May my tongue, sense space have all the courage of the ones gone to bliss. By the magnificence and power of my words, may all sentient beings be subdued, and may all the meanings of whatever words I say be accomplished. And then if the end of the day, beginning of the day for you, whatever it is, just make a decision. I'm going to watch my speech like a hawk. Okay? Sweet. It's a bit early. I'm sorry, I'm going to cheat you of 4 minutes. We did it. So that's it, people. Everybody, happy to see you all. So happy. Thank you, precious ones. So see you next week. all being well, as we all live. One of my friends, I mean, we all drop dead all the time. One of my friends in prison wrote on the 8th of August, and on the 10th of August, I just heard he died. So we always get a surprise, don't we? But it'll be our turn soon, so be ready. Okay, darlings. Jangtrob, Semtrog Rinpoche, Make, Panam, Keguchi, Kepanyampa, Mepa, Yang, Gongne, Gondu, Pabashog. May compassion grow and grow in the hearts of all. Okay. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Venerable.